Well, build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers in association with Leith Spirits. I am Matty.
Hiya, I'm Colin.
All right, Shaggers. I'm John.
And non-shaggers as well, because I'm sure there's probably some virgins listening to this as well.
Yeah.
Do you think there's any folk that listen to us that are asexual?
Definitely.
What's that one?
Is that like folk that just aren't interested in sex at all?
Married folk.
I bet that depends, because you can still be interested.
Aye. Right, what we got today? 2-2 up at Pittodrie. Hard to say whether it was a must-win or not. It might prove to be a critical 2 points dropped or a crucial 1 point gained, depending on how the rest of the season pans out. Colin, I'll come to you first. We'll get your thoughts on the starting lineup. We'll just run through it just to remind you, and then you can tell me what you thought. Right, goalkeeper Marshall, defence Miller, Fish, Chiantis, and Obita. The midfield was Levitt, Newell, and Murray Welsh, and we had Yuan, Boyle, and Miziam up front. And I'm not sure if Colin's frozen again, John, so I'm going to ask you what you thought of that. We might end up with three calls. At the moment, we've got two Collins on screen because Colin froze at first, logged it, came back on, and his old Colin stayed on the screen. There we are, he's back now. Right, John, you go tell us what you thought about the team, and then I'll get Colin's thoughts if he's still with us.
And I heard the whole question.
All right, good. So, do you want to just go ahead?
If that's all right, and I'm not interrupting on John now, yes, I'm happy to do that.
I was just going to answer a question with a question anyway, or say, I don't know. So.
Just wait a wee while first.
I was okay with it. So I thought Levitt coming in, I thought he done all right when he came on last week, so you can maybe see why they started him. And Amos he replaced, wasn't it? And he's just coming back, getting fit and all that, so maybe he's not ready to be playing back-to-back games. What was the other change? Yuan, was it? No.
Yes.
2 changes.
But, yeah, Yuan, because Mayenda started against
right.
Inverness last week.
So no complaints about Yuan starting games. Like his stats show that he creates and scores more goals than anybody else we've got, I think, at the moment. Yep. So no real complaints about that at all. No, I was okay with it when I saw it. Didn't think it was any issues.
John, any word from you on it?
No, about the same. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, was that the team that finished the game against Inverness that, broadly speaking, started today. So
no, Cadden wasn't there. Cadden didn't even travel. I saw him this morning. He was walking the dog down to HTC this morning.
Was he?
Sorry.
Didn't think you were allowed dogs in, but yeah, obviously. Yeah.
Well, they had Ryan Porteous's dog in. What was his name? I forget, it doesn't matter. No. Could you imagine calling your dog after yourself?
Well, I couldn't imagine calling my beard after myself, but you think you would do it with a dog?
I'd be a laugh, eh? I wish I'd thought about that when we got our dog. Obviously, I wanted to call it Dave, but I got outvoted for our dog. But I actually just say we're calling it Matty. Can you imagine, like, when folk come into your house, they go, or when they bump into you in the street in the Kenyan and say, "Oh, what's your dog's name?" And it's Matty, and they're like, "But that's your name."
You're like, I'm transitioning back to Matthew, is what you would say. So I want to carry the name on.
Get in touch with us if you have got a dog that's got the same name as you. Anyway, right. Fucking hell. Right. John, what was your take on the game then?
I thought it was a tricky game. Like, I don't think either side were brilliant. I thought that there was a goal apiece for each of the sides that were probably more down to defensive errors than sort of good play, if you like. And that was about
it. Was that?
It was like it was. So it would be an entirely different story if Hibs had gone and won. So, like, if you think about the way that the game panned out, it was Hibs went ahead, Hibs were pegged back, Hibs went behind, Hibs came back, And that like, I don't know how else to like flower that up. That was the game. And there was I think it was Hibs' second goal was the one that was talking about. It was a defensive error from Aberdeen, and Aberdeen's second goal was a defensive error for Hibs. I thought the other two were actually I thought Hibs' goal was probably more. Hibs' opening goal was more creative than Aberdeen's opening goal.
Yeah.
And that was about the size of it.
I think all we need now is like at least one incorrect badge on the screen for Hibs or Aberdeen, but two, and that would effectively like the Sky Sports report on it.
Did they have that again? Did they?
Not today, but it's just typical in it for the Scottish football. Colin, what about you? What was your take on the game?
John, you got to say something there?
I was just going to ask. Like, I feel like I've gave like a bit of a biscuit arse response there to the summary of the game. But so if you remember, about 2 weeks ago, we had a conversation about like Montgomery and his future at Hibs, and then the noise just completely tailed off after last week because we beat Inverness, and there was nothing happening during the week, as we talked about on our week at Hibs episode. And then you've got to draw the day, and I've come into this kind of wondering, well, how do I feel? Like, is it us against the sort of whores, like saying, no, calm down, like Monty in, like settle down, or like what are your thoughts of like coming into this episode and what your thoughts were on the game and how you feel about the manager and all that sort of stuff? Because that's how I come into it sometimes. Like, fuck, what am I going to say? How am I going to approach this?
Just answer the fucking questions. Stop thinking. That's my advice.
I like how you phrased that, John, because quite often when we come on to record, I do think about how I'm feeling about it. Like, how was I feeling out on full time? And that generally will be, like, more often than not, will be the mood that will carry into the podcast. Sometimes you get a chance to reflect on it. Today, I think I was just neither up nor down with it today. Like, it felt like a proper missed opportunity. I think we spoke about when we were doing our next 6 games on extra time we were predicting. So I think we all went with Hibs wins for this one, didn't we?
I was swayed with the majority. I initially said a point.
A point, right. But I'd also said it's a game that was as easy to lose as it was to win. Like, this game really was on a knife edge. It could have went either way. I think the game, the way that it panned out, could have went either way. Both teams could say that they had chances to win the game, but it was a draw. There's absolutely nothing to split the teams. It just, like, I felt quite flat after that. I wasn't like devastated and raging and thinking Monty out or anything like that. I didn't think it was a particularly negative result, but at the same token, it wasn't a good result either.
No, and I think when we talked about it on whenever we last recorded, I talked about the context that the game is being played in. So the context of top 6, building momentum and what have you, a point's poor.
Yeah.
But if you look at it in a different context of going to Pittodrie, which is a place that we haven't had great results in over the last 10, 15 years or so, getting a point's not the worst result ever. Especially coming back for 2-1 down, which traditionally, or more recently, Hibs haven't done well in coming from behind and losing positions.
Yeah.
Aye. What would you call it? Where do you stand on it?
So that's a point at Pittodrie isn't normally a bad result, but it is today because we're now 5 points off the top 6 and there's only 8 games left to play. And we're 8th in the league on, even if it is in alphabetical order, which I think it is.
See, if we were 6th and 7th, would that go to a playoff? Because I take it you wouldn't give Aberdeen the top 6 on alphabetical.
No.
So how would they decide it?
Changing their name, to double A Hibs and that.
Aardvark FC.
Get to the start of like with the yellow pages, eh? That didn't ever worked for anybody because nobody ever goes. But you open it in the middle, you didn't open at the start, eh? Like,
well, it depends what you're looking for. Like, you wouldn't open it in the middle if you were looking for
Mr. Aardvark.
An apple shop.
I bet you know the name, right? So I think there's a point of no calling it like double A, triple A coaches or whatever these ones are, is so that you're at the start of the phone book. Nobody knows your name, but they're going to buses and they're picking it. Like, is it Anyway, I don't know.
I know,
So
I've got a talking point from our Mr. J.R. Hartley later on as well, just on that one.
Fly fishing, that
Aye.
was. Good book. Anyway, right. So we're eighth.
I've got
off
no
record.
idea what you. Oh, that's where we were talking about 6 and 7, 7th and 8th.
Aye.
7th and 8th. So we're eighth. Right, we're a point above 9th and 3 above 10th. That's how it is. That's why it's a bad result.
Mhm.
But we just kind of stopped letting goals in, eh? Like, and it's another typical Hibs goal. You know, and it's like just a fucking aimless ball into the box. It wasn't even like a good cross. It was just a punt in that the boy managed to get a shot away. And Marshall saved that.
I described it as defensive error for one of Aberdeen's goals, but actually it was 2.
Yeah.
Now that I reflect on
it. The second one was pish for Miller and Fish.
it was a catalogue of errors for the second one.
Yes.
Like, there was players all over the shop.
Aye, just shit defending. It doesn't matter what we do. We need a centre half. We get another centre halves in, but nothing changes. Like, and the amount of 2-2s we've had, somebody put in the group chat earlier, it's 7 2-2s. I didn't count up. I just knew there was loads of them. 7 2-2s. So we're actually scoring goals, like a reasonable amount of goals. I don't know what. Actually, let's have a wee look at the league, see if it shows me. Disney's just the goal difference on that table, but we're scoring 2. You should be, if you're scoring 2 goals, you should be winning the game.
2 away from home as well. Yeah. Like, you should be winning.
And we're letting too many goals in. We continue to let too many goals in, and they're not even good goals. They're just goals, you know. They're just like dunk a ball into the box, and somebody will fuck up for you.
The first one, I'm not sure who it was. Maybe Chantis was playing Miovski on side as well, and it's just concentration, isn't it? Like the both elements of that goal. So playing Miovski on side, and then everybody switching off, and Devlin being the first to the rebound to score, is all just concentration, and like you can turn into Roy Keane, but doing your job. Like, it's basic stuff. And the second goal was just, it's like head in your hand type defending. You go, what are they doing? They've got too many chances to deal with that situation. And
Do you know what the second goal reminded me of? Is if anyone's ever played like fives in particular, but maybe sevens as well, where all it required was someone to stick a foot in, and it would have knocked the ball, like just moved it a couple of yards. That's all it took, and it would have just broke that down entirely. But instead, McGrath's got the opportunity somehow to just sort of dance about, and then pretty much side foot at home.
Aye, it was awful, and I think that's like it's been our Achilles heel for most of the season. We would definitely be in a much better position. Right, talking into football cliche basics here, we would be doing better if we didn't concede as many goals.
Aye,
if we scored pretend I've no fucking said it like that, right?
You'll get a job on Hibs TV soon.
That was I was laughing. I think that was what they said. Aberdeen are a team that score goals and concede goals.
So
yeah.
I know it's that. Sorry, just to go back to that football cliche that you're talking about, but seeing those 7 games that we described, if we'd conceded 1 fewer goal, we would be 21 points better off.
That's the difference, but that's what Hearts are doing, and that's why they're fucking running away with third place. They're winning narrow games. They're winning, you know, they're not hammering anybody. They're 1-0s, 2-0s, 2-1s, and that's because they're no letting goals in, or no as many as us. You're going about Shankland scoring them all. We're scoring enough goals. It's just, we've not got a Shankland, but we've got Boyle, Yuan, Venti when he plays, the new boy Melida. They're all scoring goals, but we can't stop fucking shipping them in.
What is the problem there? Because we've swapped the back line about. Do you know, there's been some consistency with it for the last few weeks. So that was one of the things that we pointed to maybe being a problem with it, is that we were having to chop and change it. So we've got the players in there. It's still happening.
Is it not?
Well, I mean, you obviously can't point a finger at them now. So
it's funny that you say
what is the issue?
It's funny you mention Hanlon Stevenson, because one of the names that I've seen appear today, especially after Trantis has had a bit of criticism, and we saw it in our own group chat, someone said that they would prefer Bashiri playing ahead of Trantis, and I've seen a few of the talking points, I think, maybe coming in referencing Hanlon as well. So we're now starting to go that sort of full circle way with Hibs sometimes, where people start realising that Hanlon was a positive influence on the backline.
I think some people might go to that point, John, but I think the time's long since gone that we need to move on past Hanlon Stevenson and not just because it's Hanlon and Stevenson, but like all the positions in the team should be up for review and should be kind of almost like on a cycle of getting upgrading the players as much as possible.
But are we discovering that it's not as simple as saying they're shite because I didn't like them, get them out and get someone else in?
Aye, but it's always been more complex than that, isn't it? Like it's again, that
It's just
goes
who's shouting the loudest at the time. That's all that is. Because that's when we get beat, the folk that want them out say that, and then when we when they played, when they're not playing, the folk that want them to stay are then shouting louder. It's different people that are doing the shouting. It's not groups of people changing their mind, because folk don't do that.
Yeah.
They entrench themselves in a point of view and then stick to it, and then just shout louder when required. Aye, Mo.
Aye.
What do you think is behind the defensive frailties, Matty? I was going to say Matthew there, but it's no Sunday yet.
I wish I knew. I was thinking about this earlier, right? So you could say there's a lack of experience in the back line now. Would you have expected a more experienced defence to clear the lines? Do you know, like you've got Miller going into tackle with his wrong foot for the second goal. That's when he's not falling over. Like he spent as much time kind of on the ground as he did running about. Fish should have done better at the second goal. Chartis should have done better at the first goal. Abita at left back is the most experienced of that back line. Fish has only just turned 21. I think Chartis is early 20s as well. There's probably an argument you need or would benefit from an experienced player in there. Right, Rocky is no experienced either. Hanlon is, but we need like a experienced but better than Paul Hanlon player in there. And I think when you've got young players, you get mistakes like that because they're still learning the game. That would be my take on it. But we can't afford it. Like that's the situation we're in now. Is we can't go next week and defend like that because we're fucked if we do that again.
Do you think age excuses the mistakes? I don't think it does.
No, but so the difference between it being an excuse and being why they happen. So they shouldn't happen, and it comes about because of inexperience. But that I don't think is an excuse. It's still a mistake. Players should still do better. But
because you know not to go with the wrong foot.
Yeah,
like, you shouldn't even get a professional contract if you can't. You know what I mean? Like I know it's a mistake he's made, but it's not his age. It's just like fucking choice.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I think it's happening, John. To answer your question, it's about all I can put it down to, or they're poorly coached. Is the other bit, like if they're getting told to do that. But I just can't imagine anybody, particularly like a player who was quite defensive minded, like Montgomery was, coming in and telling the defenders to defend like that. I don't think any head coach would go, see in that situation, try and tackle your wrong foot, use in the middle, hang back, didn't go and run with the rest of the line. Just you play everybody else on side. And when you do get a chance to clear it, can you just fuck about with it instead? I don't think anybody's coaching them that.
No.
Presumably then. So I think we mentioned there that it's repeated instances of the same defensive failing by certain players. Is that fair? So if the manager and his instructions are didn't do that and the player continues to do that, what does the manager do in that situation?
Well, if they can, they would drop them. I mean, that's the obvious thing is you would play somebody else, but I think we've got tons of options at centre half. We've got Hanlon or Rocky who's just back, or we've got laddies that are even younger than the two that are making the mistakes.
So we need to get someone in that can follow the manager's instructions, basically, someone with a bit more experience.
Aye, we're better players.
Aye. When could we do that? Next transfer window.
Aye, get to the summer, like see it to then, hopefully get better in the meantime. And the two goals we scored, if we kind of go to a couple of the positives. The first one, Malida does well, gets the ball wide to Boyle, takes a lovely touch around the keeper, tucks it in. The second one was a bit of a faff, right? So Colin, talk us through the second one and what were your views on like the whole sort of VAR palaver around it as well?
Oh, aye, right. So I couldn't quite remember. Yeah, so this was Obita collected the ball, gave it back to Newell. Newell got to the byline, chopped it back, and Marconde snapped it in.
Yeah.
That's that one. Yeah. I couldn't believe they were checking offside because I thought, well, Newell's miles on. But then when they started showing you, it was that they were checking Obita, and I thought, did they come that far back?
Aye, how
Because
far
if
back
they'd
did it
done
go?
that, then the Aberdeen boy would have been offside for the tap in, eh? Because that was it.
No, he wouldn't be. So the Aberdeen, the reason that there's a difference between the two is that the Aberdeen boy, when the ball gets played over, Miofsky's onside, he
Mhm.
plays the ball, which then instigates the second phase,
Second phase.
and
Right.
and Devlin's
There's no
onside at that
second
point.
phase here, is that what you're saying?
So when Obita collected the ball, if he'd been offside, he because he's the player that collects it, he's the first phase, so
Yeah.
he would have picked up the ball. Had Newell been offside then but came back onside, Newell would have been second phase, but Abita would have been
Okay.
offside
Right.
at the first point.
So, and the linesman flagged for that, which is
Aye.
why it was the whole palaver, and it took them ages to do it. But fortunately, it was on. So we actually got well, it feels like, oh, we got a VR decision for us, but it's black and white, eh? It's like,
Aye.
it's onside. So we never got one that we shouldn't have got, like he's onside. So it was a good goal. But fuck me, like that's how we ended up with 10 minutes injury time because two head knocks, and one head knock and one injury and to a goalie in the offside.
See on that question, because we're going to talk a wee bit about another VAR decision in a wee second, right? Would you rather be talking about have had the delay, be talking about a 2-2 draw, or no had the delay and lost 2-1 because the linesman flagged, so without VAR that goal gets chopped off. So
Well,
what's the better outcome out of the two?
Well, getting the goal, so I'm not complaining about the delay for that because it shouldn't take that long. Is my complaint, right? But I'm not still saying scrap VAR. Like I think they should just get people to work it correctly and be consistent with it and actually be better at their job. I think VAR should help the game. I still do, but for some reason, and we're talking about it every week, but we're going to come on to the one. How we never got a fucking penalty? I don't know. Like, I don't know how we never got a penalty.
John, what about you? Would you rather have the delay and get the right decision and get the goal that would have been ruled out?
There's folk out there saying scrap VR, so they're saying I'd rather lose 2-1 today and not have VR.
Aye, but I totally get I get the point of view that VAR's ruining the game, and then something like that happens. And this has been my argument with VAR all along: is that there are times where things would have been an injustice that get fixed now. Sometimes, like we'll talk about that in a second. Hibs would have lost, assuming nothing else different happened in the game. Right? Obviously, there's that whole thing, but we might have done something else in the game and got a point, whatever. Had nothing else been different, that linesman put his flag up. Without VAR, that goal gets disallowed and we lose the game. And I think you saw there VAR was applied right and we got the goal. It corrected an injustice. 2-2. Where the frustration comes in is the handball in the first half. Now, John, I'll ask you about it, right? So explain to me how Hibs never got a penalty, or why Hibs never got a penalty, if you can.
I really don't know. I really can't.
Think about put it this way then. Think about how when our referee, it won't be the referee, when our referee is asked on Sports Scene, Sports Sound, whatever, on tomorrow or Monday, how they're going to back the referee for that call, because that's what they'll do. Right, they'll find part of the rule that says it's not a penalty. Because there must be a part of the rule, right? There will be. There'll be a boy comes out in the morning and goes, well, it wasn't given because.
Yeah.
And I think Mikey Stewart's discounted the t-shirt line thing, which they've used sometimes.
That's the boy in the bicep, or like the lower part of his bicep.
Yeah. And he leaned towards it.
Mm-hmm.
It almost pushed it away, right? Whereas we got one, was it St Mirren the other week, when the boy was just fucking Jantis, it just fucking hit him. Like it's directly in front of him. So I can't actually think what excuse has been given before that they can use this time. They really can't. Because accidental doesn't count.
No.
Does it?
And even then, you couldn't say it was accidental because he's
No,
moved
because he
towards
went
it.
towards it.
It was it was one of these ones that I saw it, and I saw my leader claim for it, and I thought, oh, well, I'll go with VAR.
He was shaking his head after it got not given as well. He was like, I can't believe they never fucking overturned that.
Almost quite relaxed about it when I went to VAR.
How did the referee not give it? How did the referee not see that? And this is the problem with VAR, right? The referee doesn't, not the VAR, this is the problem with the referee system. He's gone, fucking VAR will pick that up for me if it's a penalty. I do want to give it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes to VAR and they go, well, the referee didn't think it was one, so, t-shirt line, did they mean it? Oh, Ken, the ball's really travelling fast and they come from very far. All the other reasons that they've found before. And then nobody wants to give it.
Aye.
Whereas if the referee could say, I'll give that, but they could turn it back if I'm wrong, but the referee doesn't want to be seen to be wrong. And then it's easy for VAR just to... Who was the VAR the day, John? Do you got his name?
No.
Nah.
There were quite a few folks suggesting it was Stevie Wonder, just putting that out there with a few tweets along those lines.
Is that a thing that we should be doing in the future? Like, should one of us be picking up who's in the box in the Hart Hill? Because I never got that memo.
They do list it. It's just that after the chat the other night, I thought you would know who it was.
I think you're right there, Colin. Right? So I tweeted about it earlier saying, irrespective of VAR, the referee should be seeing that because it's so blatant. And had the referee given a penalty, nobody's going, he's got it wrong. Nobody, like, there's no Aberdeen fan complaining.
And VAR would still check it.
Aye, or fuck all, because it was a penalty.
To go back to Colin's question about how the folk on the sports scene might defend it, presumably, and this displays more ignorance, but presumably if the referee literally has not been able to see it because there's bodies in front of him, that's where VAR would intervene because it's a clear and obvious error.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it hasn't. So then you come back to that point of, well, what's the purpose of VAR?
What's the rule? No, well, what's the rule that you've not
given? What's the rule?
That's the
what's
question.
The purpose for your involvement?
So explain the handball rule to me, please, Mr. SFA, because we're not sure. Because there's one we got. There's one or two we've been given against us. There's the reasons for other ones we didn't get. That one doesn't fit any of that criteria, any of the rules, any excuses you give us. Can you tell us what that one wasn't given for?
I think
that's a fair question. I hope they're asking it.
Mm-hmm.
I think Montgomery's mentioned that, and I think Ben Kensel's mentioned it as well. But I wonder how much noise do we want Hibs to make about that sort of stuff, and what do you think the outcome would be of asking that question?
They give you waffle. They get they just bluff their way through it like they do with fucking everything else.
Mm-hmm. But we should be asking. It
Of
shouldn't
course we should.
Be embarrassing them, isn't it? And it doesn't need to be public. They should be asking it. And then once they embarrass themselves that many times or whatever you want to say, that they don't answer it or they waffle through it, then we just go, come on, we asked the last 5 times. We weren't included in that 13 decisions, despite this one, that one, and that one. We've then since asked that one, and that one, and that's the answers we got. And then you just put it out there and you go, do you think these cunts have actually got a fucking clue?
Aye. It's frustrating because that's the other thing, it totally undermines your confidence in VAR. For always like championing it and saying, well, there it got a wrong decision right for the offside. When you see something like that, you think,
is it VAR or is it the referees? It's the referee that's sitting in that box deciding that, and the referee on the pitch said it wasn't the one thing. Yeah,
so when I say VAR, I'm talking about the whole kind of the application of it, the folk running it, no the actual system, just the system. It's humans making the fucking call on that. I just didn't like us.
Really. It's like there's any players round them. It's not bounced up off a body. There's fuck all reason to not give that. I can't see what reason the referee might be able to conjure up, or the VR might be able to conjure up here.
Right, well, we'll go to some talking points. Move away from the VAR.
Can I just say that before we get on the referee stuff, the Aberdeen had 22 shots today.
Aye, did they feel like 22 shots over it?
No.
What the hell the fuck were they counting?
The stats kind of look a bit innit? When you look at it in isolation like that. 22.
22,
12 I think.
I think I think with the 22 shots came from. Never felt like we were getting to do it at any point in that game.
I was going to say, just before we move on to the talking points, are we at risk of underselling and not talking about the 2 Hibs goals enough, like we did? Was it Martin Boyles the other week?
Nah, the only thing for That one was a really good goal. We did undersell it. The only thing that we probably could have pointed out more for Hibs' second goal was the boy Devlin at the byline when he was challenging with Joe Newell. I'd love to know what was going through his head, like what he was trying to do. It reminded me, do you remember who was it got the goal with Ibrox? Simon Murray's goal at Ibrox and the big Portuguese centre half that Rangers had.
I remember the boy, but I can't remember his name.
If you watch that goal, I think it's the behind the goal footage of it. He sort of just runs sideways, like completely away from the goal, for like he's running away from the ball and away from the goal. And the footage just like, fuck's this point in? And when Devlin went for that ball at the byline, it was very similar. I thought, the fuck is he doing? And Joe Newell obviously, luckily, never went, the fuck is he doing? He just went, oh, I'll take the ball and square it. And we got a goal out of it. But I would be livid if that was your defence. Like, I'm already annoyed at our defenders for the defending the day. If they'd done that, fucking hell. Awful. Absolutely awful bit of defending, but good play for Hibs.
Do you think Aberdeen should have had a penalty? Before we're going on the talking points, we've never mentioned that. Warnock was making a bit of fuss about it in the radio.
A penalty for manslaughter. What are the laws of the game on manslaughter?
Well, Mikey Stewart said manslaughter is usually when somebody dies.
Aye.
I think always, actually.
Always, it is, yeah. Somebody had tweeted us, because I'd mentioned obviously on Twitter, and I'll quickly find it because it was quite amusing, and I found it quite amusing. Old Believer says, to be fair, Warwick probably doesn't realise we call it culpable homicide here. What a stupid comment. He also, on Warnock, said there's a team of divers. They knew they were going to dive. He said that in the interview as well.
Did he?
Aye, what a fucking prick.
I like Boyle's celebration, actually. Because he was getting it on Twitter yesterday of folk in that, you bring your swimming costume and all that.
Boyle's celebration was brilliant.
It was, but it's mental because they've got Duke and Shinnie.
Shinnie, by the way. Duke
is incapable of staying on his feet.
Shinnie went down under, I can't remember if it was my leader that was running with him, or maybe Yuan, as they were heading back to the goal. And there was nothing. I mean, we talked about Martin Boyle's booking against Celtic and whether it was contact. Everybody just went, oh, he was clever. He got himself in between the man and the ball and went down. Like that. I think they might have said he waited for a touch, but I don't even think there was a touch. And you go, how the fuck is that allowed?
There was arms in that, but again, it was nothing. Yeah, there's 2 ways.
Mental. Boyle's celebration, Colm. Was that what you had initially said?
After the goal, yeah.
Brilliant.
I was hoping he was going to do a Klinsmann, because I actually, I seen him reply to the boy on Twitter yesterday, and I thought, he's got to do a Klinsmann or something if he scores, right? And it wasn't quite as good as a Klinsmann, but he didn't. It was obvious what he was doing. So.
Quality. Right. Talking points.
So we're saying it's not a penalty, though, aye?
Oh, aye, that was what your original question was. That was why I came back to it there. So it definitely wasn't manslaughter or culpable homicide. And
or assault, isn't it? Assault or GBH or fuck all.
Nah, he plays the ball. I thought the description of it is Majowski ran into his fist was maybe a bit of a stretch. But I don't think it's a penalty. I think he's punched the ball and it's one of his where else is meant to put his hand kind of thing. What do you think?
I don't think it was a penalty, but I don't know if I'd be shouting for it. The other side, that's the thing, because that's what we're like. But
nah, I don't think it would be.
Does the goalie get away with it because he's a goalie? But then the goalie is a little touch of his hand, and if he's going to punch it, but then we got a fucking penalty against us last week for somebody trying to header the ball and catching the boy as well. So maybe the difference is he got the ball first.
So should that have been a free kick to Marshall then? But if we're saying that Marshall gets to the ball first, Majowski's headed his hand, then and I'm going to take back what I said before about running at his fist. He was second to it. He's headed Marshall's hand. It should have been a free kick to Hibs based on the head.
It's one of those situations, I think, where with the penalty that was given against us, it's not something that we could remember ever having been given before.
Yeah.
And I don't think you see goalkeepers coming punching balls anymore. So with regards to the penalty incident, Marshall's come out and he's punched it, he's cleared it, like, and he's entitled to do that as a goalkeeper. It's just so rare these days that you start to second guess yourself. But he's definitely got it. It's not. There's no danger of it being a penalty. And with regards to, was it Warnock said that Hibs are a team of divers? Like, how many games has he watched the Hibs? Like, he's been in charge of Aberdeen for about 3 games or something.
Aye.
He should actually be up, and like he should probably get called up on a.
Well, Goodwin did, didn't he?
Disrepute.
Yeah.
Aye. How do we make a song and dance? We need to grass them. I think that's what we did last time. We were grassed fucking maybe the big song and dance we put on social media, and then Goodwin got pulled up. He'll know though, because he's Warnock and every goal what a character he is, and he's already had a couple of goes at referees and that, and he'll just he'll get away with it because he's a character. Things like that fucking boil my piss as well. Anyway, right. Whiskey Craig, first talking point. He said, would have killed for a point at Pataudry any other season. I still think Monty's only had one window, which I think will prove to be an upgrade. The BBC are all, he's not done well enough, and then he gets sacked and they're all, wasn't given the time or resources. He's a winner. So he's a winner. Has Montgomery done enough to justify the phrase, he's a winner? So far at Hibs.
No. Did Neil Lennon? We just see
apply
the league nicknames to folk, and that's it.
Was one it won 5 games? I think I read earlier.
I think it's 5, yeah.
5 league games. I don't know if that's 5 games or 5 league games, but that's not really enough, is it?
No,
definitely enough to be called a winner.
Maybe if he shouted more and got into like touchline rammies, that's how he would be able to justify the winner tagline.
Or win some games, like that is the way it comes down to. He's won 5 out of 20 odd games.
It's definitely not the hallmark of a winner so far. Jeff Ashton said he saw in that game why both teams are where they are. A lot of firepower, but defences that don't do the basics. All 4 goals are avoidable. What's happened to Venti?
Sorry, was that Jeff that asked the question? I want to go back. I want to go back a step and say, how do you define winner?
No, somebody that wins stuff.
So he won the league when he was over in Australia. So he's a winner. He's not winning here, but does that? He won the league. He
won the playoff final. But I mean, it's still it's no done fuck all here to be justified anywhere near it. So he can't.
But he's won 5 games. So like, how do you define a winner?
Well,
is it doing it consistently?
It's definitely not winning a quarter or less of your games.
But I'm not suggesting it is. I just want to understand the definition, because it seems to be unclear. Because if you ever lose a game, or if you ever get sacked as a manager, does that mean that you're not a winner?
No. Funny enough, I had this conversation with my son through the week. We were talking about like a winning mentality and how you can still lose and be a winner. Like if you can have a winning mentality and still lose games if the overriding trend is towards success. Like,
well, Man City drew earlier on.
Aye.
Nobody's saying Guardiola's not a winner.
Man City were one of the examples that I put forward for that. It's like they might know, or Klopp at Liverpool as well. Klopp's not won leagues more often than he's won the league with Liverpool, but he's been a cracking manager for them. He's definitely got a winning mentality. They win loads of games. They might not get the silverware at the end of it, but you wouldn't say he wasn't a winner. I don't think you would be talking about Montgomery as the same breath and Hibs in the same breath as these guys now.
I know, it's just
you're talking about Lennon. But you're getting angry about Lennon because Lennon won loads of league titles.
But not with Hibs.
Player and a manager, and he won the championship with Hibs, which I think we've disputed before. But I say disputed with fucking, you can't dispute we won it, but the way we won it.
Yeah.
Whereas like Montgomery's not even near getting classed a winner, like not even close.
No. Right, what's happened to Venti was Venti was on the bench today, didn't come on. You've seen Jair go on ahead of him. So, we had a bit of chat in the WhatsApp, and actually not just on WhatsApp, but on Twitter and across a couple of groups. Colin, I think it was 3 or 4 episodes back, you just asked the question to say, like, what does Jair actually bring?
Yeah.
And today was another game where at the end of the game you think, how's he impacted the game?
I didn't see it. Really? I genuinely don't see it. But He scored that goal against Ross County, and everybody was sort of delighted. I challenged at the time that the goal should have saved it, I think, as well. And it's not because I was wanting him to do well. Like I was.
You wanted him to do
don't
well,
see-
but now you're trying to take the goal away from him.
I tried to take the goal away from him at the time, even when I wanted him to do well. But I still want him to do well. Fucking hell! But it's like he needs to fucking do something about it. Like it's just. I don't know what he does. Like he doesn't create goals. He doesn't score goals.
What was the substitution today? Who did Jair replace?
Yuan.
Yeah, Ewan. Yeah. But Venti sat on the bench. How many subs did we make? We might have made a few. Like.
So how would we have got Venti on the pitch today? Would it have been a like-for-like replacement with Maulida? Did he set out the game?
Maulida saw out the game. Boyle
Yeah.
went off, and Alf came on.
Marcondes came on for
Welsh went
Welsh,
off, yeah.
and Emos came on for Levitt, and obviously the keepers. So that was
Like
just fine.
I understand the point about how did Jair get on before Venti, but you're not putting Venti in Yuan's or Boyle's position, surely.
No, but you
Could have
would
went 4-4.
or,
Could have
or,
went 4-4-2,
or you could have put Maulida wide and played Venti through the middle. That would have worked fine as well, I think.
Maulida saw out the game, and he was also instrumental in one of his goals. Would it not be preferable to leave him and he's played in that position in previous games where he's been involved in goals, playing through the middle. So would it not be better to play Maulida there rather than put him out on the wing, just so you can get Venti on the pitch?
I think when the alternative was taking Yuan off to play Jair, then yes, I would have.
But is that? Are we just saying that because Jair's kind of gone a wee bit wayward with his redemption arc, and we're saying that he doesn't offer anything to the squad? Like I'm looking at it from the point of view that kept a shape to the squad that had got us back into the game and drawn.
So I would say that if you take Yuan off and put Venti on, Venti goes to where Maulida was. Maulida comes to the left hand side. And bear in mind he can still come inside if he wants to. Maulida wide offers more than Jair offers wide. Venti going through the middle isn't a massive drop off from Maulida. So you're not.
What's the evidence for Maulida offering more wide than Jair? Is there games? Is there?
There's games, John, where Christy Brown would offer more out wide than Jair.
That reference is lost on me.
Have you ever seen My Left Foot?
No.
Oh, watch that.
So I think the game where we saw Maulida playing left or wide was it against Rangers? Was it his first game? But the other games he's played through the middle. Like I take the point that you're saying that Jair doesn't offer a hell of a lot, and he hasn't offered a hell of a lot recently. But as a like-for-like replacement for the player that he's, like in terms of his ability to play wide, that makes more sense to me than shifting Maulida out left.
Change the formation then.
I don't want to totally dig out Jair. I totally sound like I am, right? And it was probably unfair making the comparison, right? But if there's no impact in the game, all that happened to Jones will weaken the team. And I reckon that I think there's another change there that you can make that doesn't weaken the team. And that
how does bringing Venti on strengthen the team when we've been criticising him for weeks, saying he doesn't get involved, he doesn't score goals, etc.
Fresh legs up front, like he comes off every week because we need to freshen the legs because they've ran the race, aye. And the drop off and Venti's a better player. Like so, if you're doing it on numbers and that, Venti's a better player. Like take your championship manager stats. I bet you Venti's higher number than Jair. So you're actually the team isn't as weak.
I don't know how to play the game.
Yeah, but I bet it's no. The team's just no weaker. The team's not weaker with Venti in it ahead of Jair. It's weaker with Jair in it ahead of Venti.
I disagree. I disagree on the basis of what I've described about players and positions, because I could only imagine, and it's total hypothetical stuff, but Maulida's been involved in that first goal. He's played through the middle. He's scored goals playing through the middle before.
We take him off. Done all season.
We take him off and we put Venti on, who's not scored goals, and I can just hear people going, "Why the fuck is Montgomery taking Maulida off and putting Venti on, who's not scored for weeks?"
So we're not taking Maulida off. That's the point. He's staying on the pitch.
Sorry, or not. Sorry, not taking him off. Like moving on position to into a place in the pitch where he hasn't demonstrated his effectiveness.
But the only time we've seen him there was against Rangers, where he hadn't kicked the ball for months, and he was up against the second best team in the leagues. Like, I don't think that's a sample size to say that he's going to be less effective on the left than Jair is.
But
It's a matter.
But the comparison that you made before, the thing that you said was that Melida would be more effective than Jair, but there's no real evidence for that.
Well, Jair's not effective. So, like, I would be more fucking effective. That's my argument. Like, any cunt would. Is my argument. Right?
So are we at risk of demonising a player and just being like, right, let's get him out of fuck as well? But you're saying that you would be more effective than him?
Yeah, I'm confident I would be. He's got one goal that the goalie should have saved. That's it.
He's got 2 goals. He got the one against Dundee that the keeper maybe could have saved as well.
It was straight Right, let's add. We're not here to dig out players. Albert Street.
Yeah, by the way, on that, right, looking at the bench, you know, the Whittaker or Megwa weren't even on the bench.
No,
today.
not even quoted. Albert Street said it would have been a win, but yet again, VAR robs and cheats us. How are you supposed to compete with that incompetence? Good question. He's fucking canny. Jeff Ashton again said defence killing us, gave them benefit of the doubt with 2 in midfield, but even with 3 were porous. Nice use of porous there, Jeff. At the moment, Chantis is not the answer. We look better with Rocky or Paul Hanlon. Fish, half the player he usually is playing alongside Chantis. New keeper, stroke 3 centre backs needed next season. Jair, not Venti? Question mark.
Nah, good question, Jeff. I'm not sure though on the Fish thing. Fish gets away with it. Like I'm about to hammer the whole team here by the end of this, right? But Fish makes mistakes every week, and we always blame the other centre half. And like, why is it Hanlon's fault? Why is it Rocky's fault? Why is it Giantis' fault? That's fucking here just like strolls through the games and nobody fucking ever goes. What the fuck was he doing there? We just blame the one that's on the left-hand side every week.
Aye, don't know how that happens. Again, it goes back to folks' first impressions. Your first impression always like
a reputation. Man United in brackets after his name. It's like it's a reputation. Folk live off reputations. Like it's mental.
Venti's Plenty says we by far have the easiest run in for the last 3 available spaces in the top 6, and this team is starting to look good again. 4th is still more than achievable. Running for those in the hunt replies to this message. I'm not going to read that out. If you want to have a look, it's on our Twitter. It's just been the fixtures for the next 10
points off.
Right. The run-in does look a bit kinder. It's Dundee, Ross County twice, and then I think we've got Hearts in there, and I think it's Livingston to come as well. We should be picking up full points in a lot of those games. Top 6, John. If you were to rate our chances of getting top 6 as things stand today out of 15, no half marks allowed. What are our chances?
How many points are we off 6th?
5, I think it was Colin said. Is it 5?
5.
Off 6, yeah, 5 points. No games in hand.
No games in hand, and we've got Dundee, Ross County.
Dundee, Hearts, Ross County twice, and I think it's Livy.
10. 10 out of 15.
Colin?
7.
I've just plugged out of thin air, by the way, because I don't know what fixtures the teams above us have got. So, provided we pick up points and they've got more difficult games and they lose them,
I think most teams
see that shift.
I think most teams have got everybody to play though. Like most teams will have the same teams to like because we're only in 1 or 2 games into the next round of games. So everybody's playing everybody again.
That's how it works.
Aye. So how's it tricky? It's just the same for everybody. Everybody's playing the same fucking teams.
Have we know some of the worst ones out the way already? Like Celtic and Aberdeen away.
We not got to play them again before the split.
I think so. We got Celtic.
We've played Aberdeen 3 times now.
Aye. I think that was the 3rd time we played Celtic. I think. That must have been
Because that was the first
Aye.
game on the new
Yeah.
fixture list night.
Right, Leon says a draw isn't a disaster, but we're running out of games to get into the top 6 if that's what we want. And Pete 1983 said, I'm not going to be despondent at getting a point at Pittodrie. However, we are in a situation where we need to be picking up all 3 due to the number we've chucked away this season. Next week is a must-win with our defence, so every team fancies taking points off us. We've talked about must-win before. We are, I think, now approaching that territory, aren't we? Like, if we want to be top 6, these games are becoming must-win now.
I think so. Like, but what does that mean? Must win? Like,
it's like really important that you win it.
I know, but we could still win, and we could still lose and still make the top 6 the next game. So it's not a must win. It's a like.
Aye, but I think so with each game now, it's sort of taking it further and further out in each where we don't win. So like we're only 5 points away for a 6 coming into the start of the weekend. We're now 5 points away for 6. If we didn't beat Dundee, who are a team above us, if they beat us,
well, that's an 8 point. So yeah, that's
right? Do you know what I mean? Like so, and then are you making up 8 points over however many games are after that? So I think we are in must win. I think that Hibs didn't really have any margin for error now. We'll have to play Rangers at Ibrox, and you probably think that's not going to be 3 points. But even Tynecastle now isn't looking like a draw will be a decent result. A draw's no good enough for us. We need to be looking to win that game.
Well, Hearts are on the fucking tail of Rangers and Celtic here. I'm looking at this league.
Their form's
they're only 10 points behind Rangers.
Mentally.
Like, you're talking about this fucking gap to 4th. Like, that's their gap to.
They're 14
that's their
ahead.
Gap to 2nd.
They're 14 ahead of 5th, I think. So.
Yeah,
no. Kevin Wilson said, season's all but over, not getting the top 6, only a matter of time before the manager is sacked. Would you sack the manager if we didn't get top 6?
Nope.
Colin?
Don't know. I'd need to see how they were performing. He's just brought the players in. The argument you made the other week about you come in to manage a team that's underperforming, you go, I need to change all that because I've identified that's the reason why. You change it and then you sack him as soon as he brings the changes in without getting to see the results of that. I think we need to see what happens over between now and May to say, you know what, he brought the players in, it made no fucking difference. Or I can see the start of something.
Alan,
it's that we've got to judge it now over between now and May, and that might be in the bottom 6.
Okay, Alan Duncan said they were definitely at the must-win stage. 5 points behind Dundee, and our next home game against them is win or bust. If we don't beat them, there won't be any top 6 this year. Thankfully, Ross County and Livy are well off the pace. After Dundee, it's Hearts, and we certainly can't lose that. Stuart has said, this team just don't look like they'll beat anybody. Baffling subs again. Monty clearly doesn't rate Venti. Our top striker and can't go on even when we need goals. Chantis is 100 times worse than Hanlon. Levitt's still a complete waste of space. I just don't rate him at all. Do you think Venti might have played if Marshall hadn't been injured?
Aye.
Because that was a sub that got used up, wasn't it? Like, so maybe that was what scuppered Venti's
that was the 82nd minute, mate.
Aye. But they make subs late.
Aye, but it makes no difference that late, eh?
Well, Raymond Gray said, first thing was not to lose. We look just now like a team that are almost going to do something good, then fail to make a 3-yard pass and are on the back foot. Jair now had his free pass. John, you get that sense that we're looking like clicking, but just still kind of shooting ourselves in the foot?
I was thinking about this in regards to the defence. Like, I don't think that the defence looks a chaotic, disorganised mess. I do think, though, that there are times where it's just focus and lack of concentration that results in errors, and it's rarely just one player. It's like the second goal today was a good example of it, where Lewis Miller makes a mistake, ball goes in, and then you've got players sort of like dancing about. Triantis is out of position, the ball doesn't get cleared, that sort of stuff. So, like, if you could improve upon, assuming I'm correct, if you could improve upon that element of it, I think we would be a better defence for it.
It is. Stephen Lumsden says, definitely important not to lose. I think they're obviously not a bad side, especially up there. Good that VAR has given us extra special care with the extensive fine-tooth combing of both of our goals. I did take a good wee while to sort of check the first one, which looked like it was like
It's quite close when you see it back.
Was it? I thought it looked on the replay like it looked much more obviously onside than.
Normal viewing, but I've seen it on Sports Scene, and it's quite. It's not fucking that close, but it's close enough to check it, I suppose.
Okay. Robert Cherry said, I think there's a team there now, but no chance of Europe. Start building now towards next season. A draw at Aberdeen is a result. Andrew Brown said, for top six, it was probably a must win. Bottom six will cost an absolute fortune. I think that the financial aspect, it can't really be understated when you look at the impact on the accounts and not having cup runs under Johnson, and they kind of offset that by getting into Europe, so the next season's accounts look good. If we're going to get knocked out of the Scottish Cup potentially in the next round, no, I'm saying that's it's a fait accompli. But there's a decent chance that you lose to Rangers at the quarter final. I think we budget for a semi final. No getting top six is going to hammer us for the budget for the next again season. You would think.
What's the difference in the prize money? Do you know between say, I don't know, 6th and 8th?
I have in my head, John, that it's like at least 300,000, but I think it's.
I was going to say a quarter of a million a space.
I think it should be that
125 grand a space or something.
So it's bad, but you also got. It's not just the prize money; it's that you then sell as many season tickets for the next again season.
We'll miss another derby at home.
Aye, you miss a home derby. You'll miss Rangers or Celtic at Easter Road, and you've not got any teams really in that bottom six other than Aberdeen that'll bring a big crowd to Easter Road. So all your income for that last quarter of the season is fucked because like everybody's sick of it, and not just that, but it's how deflated everybody is with it as well because your season's done. Like
through the motions.
Aye. Parma 2.
Can I wait to a point where we're not just looking forward to next season, though?
Mm-hmm.
Like imagine when you were actually in a season looking forward to that season.
Aye, you're thinking, I hope this season. Did I want it to end? Ken, last time, and I can't we moan about him in that, but the last time felt like that was the Lennon season where we had to finish the season with a 5-5. That was I didn't really want that one to end. Right, Parma 2 said, must win. Can't see us making top six playing like this. Monty's had time to sort the defence and it's as bad as ever. I don't think he's the man to take us forward. Ryan Laurie said, is there another player that slips more than Lewis Miller? He definitely needs new boots, eh? Although, in saying that, he gets fucking kicked up and down the place, eh?
But why though, do you think? Like, does he? Or does he just fall down more than everybody else?
I think he does. I don't think he's necessarily just falling down. Because he got caught up like a Duke
You've
caught him a bad
before,
one.
Eh?
Mm-hmm. Duke was went late on him. The worst wasn't like the worst one, but Shinnie giving him a two-handed shove and then fucking standing over him shouting. I reckon why
he's a dick, eh?
Well, we've not got players going steaming in on Shinnie in that moment. Get away from the fucking player.
Even when he's standing arguing with Marshall about the one, kind of when we spoke about the penalty claim, and you're like, get fucked, just let me fuck off. Like, didn't even engage.
I'm not a fan. Carl said, how's that not a penalty? I'd love to fucking be able to answer that. Scotty said, not a must-win game. The next game, yes, and the two against County are must-wins for sure. Should we as a club be shouting more about the poor officiating calls we've had, not just recently, but this season? If we wore a different colour, we would be calling them out. Maybe we should. I think we covered that already. I think we're largely in favour of Hibs making a noise about it. KC said another mediocre display against a very poor Aberdeen side. Still far too many bad passes which break up attacks. Scotty said, has the recent VAR decision scunnered us for Europe? If not, then what do we need to get? I'm just going to start that line again because there was too many words for me. Right, if not, then what do we need to do to get us in the top six, then push for fifth? Stand fast, obvious, win our games. What do you see as just win games from now until the split? So take it as must-win games from now until the split.
All the games, apart from like Hearts and Rangers, you've got to just say, come on, we've got to lose them. We've got to win the other ones. Like, you've got to beat Ross County, you've got to beat Livingston, got to beat Dundee, like, who are direct rivals. Not sure who else we've got, but they've got to be must-win games.
If you're Aberdeen, John, right? So Aberdeen are in the same position as us. Literally nothing to separate us. Are they looking at us a bad or a good point today?
Probably a bad point. Just if you just look at the game for the 90, because they were at home, because they were ahead. That's 2 points drop.
More shots. Definitely, 100%.
So if it's a bad point for them, maybe it's a bit more in it. It's a better result for us than we're maybe thinking. Ryan Edmondson said, thought it was must not lose today, but with us 5 points behind 6, Wednesday games become must win. Michael said always take a point away to Aberdeen, especially after their 3-3 comeback during the week, which would have lifted them. Christopher Bonney said a point is better than no points, but still think we shouldn't have thrown away the other two. We've done 2 good goals, but the second goal we conceded should never have happened. I've never seen a centre-back so scared to tackle. Sean Taylor says bottom 6 and have to play Ross County 3 times. That's grim, like having to play Ross County another 3 times this season. I think we've only played them once still, in the prospect of 3 more times is grim. Gus Polinsky said it doesn't help us in isolation. If I trusted us to actually get a win at Easter Road or in general, that result today sets us up nicely to build some momentum over the next 3 games. Throughout Montgomery's tenure, we generally follow today up with more draws or defeats and some meh. And the mental Hibs last one said 2-2 isn't a bad result, but we chucked the win away again with that amateur defending. How that wasn't a penalty is beyond me. Aye. We're it's just a frustrating day, like it's quite hard to make sense of, was it a good result or was it no? It definitely wasn't the worst result we could have had, but now we need wins on the board. There's no 2 ways about it.
I think the description of it being a not lose game was fairly apt. I think coming away for that today with 0 points would have been brutal.
Aye.
So,
I think so.
While we can be disappointed in not getting the win, it's not the worst thing in the world.
Okay, so next Saturday, Dundee. Very quick prediction for you, John. How do you think it's going to go?
2-0 Hibs.
Nice.
Is it Easter Road?
It's Easter Road, yeah.
Easter Road.
2-2.
You're going with the 2-2, the Desmond. John, I'm on board with you. I think Hibs will win. I think we will score 3 times, and I think we will concede once. And the final score will be 3-1 to Hibs.
Oh, is that how it works?
Aye,
I think they'll score. I think we'll score.
Yeah. Right. Thanks very much for sending in your talking points. Thanks for listening. If you are watching this on YouTube and you're getting adverts, you can get rid of them. Just become a member of the channel, where you'll also get our subscriber content as well. For a couple of quid. If you're already a subscriber, thanks very much for subscribing. And if you listen on the audio, and again, you're getting adverts, so there is a way to get them removed, and that's by subscribing. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee.